morning, everybody. This episode of Coffee and Football is brought to you by MyBookie. Be sure you're in the game with the good folks at MyBookie. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined each and every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, who still has the shades on, got the rocking the Goodrs this morning.
Hey, look, the Goodrs are like a great defense and offensive line. They travel on the road, baby.
It don't get better than Goodr, Jerry. All right, guys. Well, we got a lot to talk about this morning. We got a couple of special guests as well. It's an action-packed show, so we're going to jump right into it. And let's start with Sark's press conference. He had quite a few things to say yesterday, but I think one of the most important ones was Quinn Ewers, and I'm going to play that clip for y'all real quick.
I think a couple things. One, Quinn worked last week for our 3 practices. He practiced again today. I thought he looked good coming off the bye. I think if anybody benefited from the time off, it was probably him. We're going to monitor him daily just to kind of see how he continues to progress. But I feel good about if how he was today. I feel good about him going Saturday, but that remains to be seen. And I have no hesitation with Arch going in the game. I think he's proven that to us over 2.5 games of football that he's really played in and competed in, that he can run our offense and he can be successful. And so, like I said, like I talked about the offensive line, we're fortunate to be in the position that we're in, to have 2 quality players at the quarterback position that we have confidence in and that their teammates have confidence in.
Would Quinn start right now if you had to pick something?
So there you go.
Yeah.
Curious to get y'all's thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, look, Quinn is going to be the starter Saturday, barring a series setback, and I think that is as we expected. Sorry, I was just reading about another Georgia player arrested, Colby Young, wide receiver. Man, we got to get to this in a second. This is out of control, Bobby. Yeah, Quinn Ewers expected to start. Obviously, Sark said it. At that next question, somebody followed up and said, if the game were played today, who would be the starter? And Sark said Quinn would be the starter. So barring a setback, Quinn's the starter, Bobby. I think that's about what we expected. And the whole key for me with that is keeping him clean as much as possible Saturday, because you know what Oklahoma's going to try to do? They're going to try to knock him out of the game.
They'll try to knock him out of the game. They'll try to collapse the pocket. Look, this is OU's defense is going to be try to be physical, more physical than Texas. That's where, when you talked early about the offensive line needing to come to play in this game, Jerry, I couldn't agree more, because nothing combats that more than an offensive line that kicks the other team's butt. As it relates to Sark's comment there about Quinn is QB1. Any question of that is out the window, and I think Sark made that clear. If Quinn can go, Quinn's going. And not that should surprise any Texas fan, really, that follows this podcast or what have you. But he is QB1, and this team is excited to have him back. 3 years of starting experience in this game does matter. How much it will matter, we'll see on Saturday. But they're going up against a young man, Michael Hawkins, who doesn't know any better right now, Jerry and Blake. And I think that can be good and that can be bad in this game. We've seen that before. Not having any memories can be a good thing. Having experience, though, can also be good. So I'm interested in the quarterback matchup. You've got a older guy that has the experience versus a young guy that doesn't know what he doesn't know yet. So we talked yesterday about the coaching matchup between Steve Sarkisian and Brent Venables, and how that was so different because one's an offensive coach and one's a defensive coach. The quarterback matchup in this game is very different as well.
I wanted to read y'all this comment real quick because I was just scrolling through there from Matt. He says, Bobby and Jerry, I've lived in Oklahoma my whole life. My dad went to Texas, but I married into an Oklahoma family. My son and I watch every morning. Can you say something so he'll root for Texas this weekend?
Yes. Yeah, I can. Tell him to watch the Brent Venables press conference then. That'll make him change.
Why do you say that, Jerry? Is Brent being a little long-winded on his press conferences again?
55 minutes headed into the Auburn game. I mean, it's like, wow. I mean,
yeah, he didn't know which way was up.
No,
he looked lost. But look, I mean, your son's going to choose the burnt orange rather than the crimson and cream. I just know he will. Keep the faith. Keep being a good fan. You'll be fine.
All right, guys. Well, the line, I was looking just right before we came on the air.
Yeah.
And of course, I put this up yesterday, but the line opened at 14, much to
Yeah.
Bobby's dismay, or
I know.
opened this week at 14, I guess I should say. However, it has moved, and not in the favor that Bobby would like for it to, as it's now 14.5. Texas, a 14.5 point favorite as of 8:20 this morning.
I mean, look, Texas is the better football team. And I know it's a rivalry game, and I get it. We've watched it all happen, but Texas is the better team. I mean, Oklahoma doesn't average 300 yards offense per game, and they've played Temple, Houston on that schedule, by the way. So can you fix offensive line issues in a week and a half?
No, you really can't. Look, the thing about this game is turnovers matter so much. Momentum. I think that those are the things that you can't account for adequately. You can't account for 2 Jaden Blue fumbles or 2 interceptions, right? And the one thing that Michael Hawkins has done is take care of the ball for the Sooners. That's why they won that game against Auburn, as much as the other stuff that happened within it. He hit a couple of big plays, and he took care of the ball and let the Sooners play defense, which is the strength of their team. Ultimately, the question I have is whether or not Texas can go score 28 to 35 points against the Sooners. If they can, I don't think OU can beat Texas. All right. But who has scored 28 to 35 points against the Sooners so far this year? Anybody? And I know this is going to be the best offense they face, et cetera, all of that. But Texas has to get out there and really prove it that they're the elite offense that we think they are.
I think they did that.
That's the bottom line of this game. If Texas's offense is better than OU's defense, Texas wins.
Yeah.
Period. If it's a stalemate, the game's going to be up for grabs because a turnover here or there, and you're talking about a ball game.
By the way, the line moved, I think, because everybody's reporting Deion Burks is out, as expected. I think Oklahoma's been playing games. Maybe they're playing games and he shows up and plays Saturday, but there was some talk in Oklahoma close to that program like he was going to be out for a while after that injury. So we'll see. But it's being reported by people who have been covering Oklahoma for more than 2 decades very well that Burks is expected to be out Saturday. So, again, without their top 5 wide receivers, look, I think Texas proved what they are offensively against Michigan. They just got to go replicate it. But the other thing for me is Oklahoma so wide receivers, it's Jaquays Petaway and Brennan Thompson.
Yeah.
I mean, and a freshman
the Hester kid that caught the big pass last year is going to be the one thing they do have with Petaway and Thompson. They have sprinter speed downfield. So they're going to try to throw the deep ball on Texas, unquestionably. And Michael Hawkins has a good arm. So he's going to let it go deep a couple times to try to test Texas. That's why I wrote this morning that I think Texas is most likely going to play zone against Hawkins. I really believe that.
And I think how the Texas front 4 fares early in this game will also dictate what Texas has to do. But I agree that Texas has to make a change if the Oklahoma offensive line holds up better than expected. But they haven't this season, so we'll see. I mean, and that's kind of if you look back at the A&M Missouri game, the Missouri offensive line had the hold up against the A&M front, and they did not. And Oklahoma faces the same thing Saturday in Dallas, in my estimation. They better hold up, else Texas can do whatever they want defensively, and that makes it tougher for Michael Hawkins.
Yeah. All these other guys for OU have to play perfect brand of ball on offense too. No turnovers for them.
Before we move on, Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everybody out there about my bookie.
Yeah, absolutely. With all the excitement of this season, make sure you're in the game with my bookie. Bet any matchup, hundreds of college player props, and take advantage of weekly risk-free bets. The best part is you can do it all, anytime, anywhere, straight from your phone. Visit mybookie.ag and use promo code ONTexas to get started. It's MyBookie's 10th year anniversary, and they're rolling out the red carpet for bettors. Bet big and bet confident with risk-free Thursdays. If your boosted bet doesn't hit, you'll get your money back weekly. No sweat, no sweat, win-win bets all season long. And sign up now using my On Texas code to cash in on a double deposit bonus. It's a no-brainer. Double the cash in your account before you even place your first bet, but do not wait on it because it's only available for a limited time. For those of you who've been playing with MyBookie, they've also got something for you too, a brand new loyalty rewards program in MyBookie Plus. It's simple. The more you play, the more you earn. And as you progress through the tiers, unlike exclusive promotions, epic giveaways, and cash back in your account. Thanks for your sponsorship. MyBookie, and again, that's mybookie.ag. Use promo code on Texas.
Thank you, Bobby. And Jerry, you said you wanted to talk.
Oh, I'm going to bring up a funny comment.
What you got?
Longhorns saying OTF way too negative, and I hate to do this to you, OTF, to you on this one, but you know, we're just talking about the game. But man, you in recruiting, I don't think that OTF compares to that negativity.
What recruiting?
Odin Horns thought everybody was going elsewhere, and Texas recruiting was headed for the crapper and everything else. So, come on here and say we're being negative is kind of funny.
I gotta say this. So, I do go into a game. I honestly admit this and openly admit it. I tend to be a little bit of a pessimist or devil's advocate. I get it, and for some people that can be a turnoff, and I apologize. But when it comes to this game, I always take any kind of line or anything else with a grain of salt. I always have, and I always will. And that's just that's the way I do it because I've seen it. I've lived it for 30 years, 35 years. I'm actually 55, but my personal involvement, so to speak, I've just seen it too many times. And so while other games, I think I tend to be more not necessarily positive, but just more realistic. I understand that this one, you throw out all the records. That's how I am. So my apologies if you don't like it. I am looking for the silver linings as well as the negative notes too, the positives and the negatives for Texas.
All right, Bobby, I think our first special guest of the day is here and ready, so I'll bring him in and let you make the introduction.
Yeah, absolutely. Doug Rice of the Dallas Texas X's is here. Doug, how you doing this morning, buddy?
Hey, I'm fired up as usual. I'm fired up.
All right, you're the Dallas Texas X's hype man officially. Yeah. We're going to be, Jerry and I will be out there on Friday morning at the Texas X's golf event over in Garland. But you also have a number of other events scheduled for this weekend. We want to give you and the Dallas Texas X's an opportunity to promote those to Texas fans everywhere.
Yeah, and I appreciate getting promoted on Texas football. Well, the biggest thing I'm hyped about is that Bobby and Jerry are coming to the golf tournament and coming to the bash. I mean, I could just stop right there. Yeah, so that we'll kick things off that morning. The registration is closed for the golf tournament, but that'll be the first. That'll be that morning. We'll get that started between 8 and 9. I think the actual shotgun starts at 9 a.m. that morning. We'll do the stadium yell Texas fight and that good stuff. And then so that golf tournament get teed off at OU Golf Tournament. That's the 36th annual starting this Friday morning. And then that afternoon, actually at 6 p.m., we're going to start the bash before the clash. So that is down at the AT&T Discovery District. If you guys are familiar with Dallas, that's right in the middle of the heart of downtown Dallas. But it's on Ackerd Street, 308 South Ackerd, I believe is the exact address. There's a 104 square foot LED media board that we get to use for our own UT Hook'em Horns Texas Fight graphics for the entire 4 hours that we're there. So it's going to be pretty awesome seeing that at night, lit up with all of our Longhorn spirit messages all over that. So we'll have the bash before the clash. All this stuff, by the way, is at DallasTexasX's.org, DallasTexasX's.org. If you want to get any information regarding tickets and information about any of these events, we'd love to have you there. Tickets are selling fast. I saw an update yesterday, and it's really exciting when you see the numbers start going up. And so people are excited about it. So we've got two different parties, by the way, at the bash before the clash. We've got the general admission party. We're calling that the Hook'em Hangout. That's going to be outdoors on the plaza there. If you're familiar with that area, there's another area called the Globe. We got a live band called the Big City Outlaws. They're a fun, awesome party band. I've seen them a couple of times. And then inside there's the VIP party. Now the VIP party, that's where Bobby Burton's going to be. So I mean, again, for no other reason, you should get the VIP ticket just to come see Bobby. He's gonna be, I believe he'll be streaming on Texas Football right that afternoon.
Yep.
Yeah. And then by 6 o'clock, the VIP party actually begins. And we've got several other VIPs aside from Bobby Burton. We've got Sergio Kindle, the great Sergio Kindle from Dallas Woodrow Wilson. Was he the number one linebacker in the state coming out of high school?
And almost the number one prospect in the country. He was a top fiver.
Yeah. He like I said, he's an awesome guy. He comes to our game watching parties all the time and helps me out on stage and helps bring the hype. So he's the hype man's hype man. So I gotta love that. And then we've also got Ramont Taylor, who's also coming, scored a touchdown in the national championship game. And then we've also got who's my third guy? Oh yeah, Tony Hills, who's from On Texas Football. Yeah. Tony Hills will also be there. And we're going to have these. I've got several of these. We've got 3 of these that to give away for those On Texas Football watchers, like I did last week, viewers. If you are one of the first 3 people to send me an email and as well as register for the VIP. And if you do that and you send me bash, that's my email address is bash, BASH, just like the party, at DallasTexasXs.org, and send me some type of proof that you bought a VIP ticket. We will have Sergio, Ramont, and Tony Hills all sign this football for you. One of these footballs for you, the first 3 only. So hurry up. Those things always go fast. And then the thing that's near and dear to my heart, as I keep talking, is the Beat OU Pep Rally, which comes right after the Bash. It's in the same location. It's you can come down there and when you're in the Bash, and then we'll just transition right into that. And did I mention? Oh, by the way, did I mention Peyton Yeager as well, who I think has been on your show?
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. So Peyton Yeager, who's at Fox 4, she is going to skip out of work a little bit early. She's got permission from her boss, but she's going to. I told her I want her to be up there on stage with me, help leading the pep rally along with those Longhorn legend players. So we're going to have a lot of fun with the Beat OU Pep Rally. Last year, it was just absolutely. There's the spirit, the energy was amazing. So now let's take that spirit and energy and actually win the game the next day this year. I'm hoping. And then the day of the game, not to forget, we have the Texas-sized tailgate party outside of Gate 5 on the fairgrounds, right by the Cotton Bowl. And we got about 2,500 people came to that last year. Again, if you want to register, if you want to buy your drink tickets in advance, because there's a lot of people getting their drink on out there. And if you want to get those in advance at a discount, you go again to DallasTexasXs.org. And you can buy your drink coupons there, as well as again, buy your tickets to either the general admission for the Bash or the VIP party for the Bash before the Clash. And I think that's all I got. I'm out of breath, man.
No, that's not all you got, because here's what I got for you.
Okay.
Because you always bring the energy. Now it's time to turn it up another level.
All right.
What's your favorite Texas OU memory? Because we've been talking about it all week. Is there a favorite play, favorite game? What is your favorite memory or two?
100%. I was at the game, and it was Stoney Clark just absolutely stoning. I can't remember the running back's name for OU now. It was 4th down. The game was on the line. They tried to run the sweep or whatever, and Stoney Clark just absolutely just annihilates him on like the 2-yard line, and Texas wins the game. That's definitely my favorite memory. What about you?
Well, I was sitting in the end zone when Jordan Shipley returned the kickoff when Oklahoma had all the momentum in 08. And that's my memory from a momentum-changing play in this game like I've never seen. That Stoney Clark play was amazing because that was like a game-saver play. The Jordan Shipley kickoff return for me was like the one that's always stuck out because Oklahoma was dealing early in that game, and you were kind of like, uh-oh, Mac, here we go again. But that kickoff return changed that game.
Yes. I actually have a video I put together. If you come to the Texas Texas game watching party, I put together my top 10 Texas OU memory highlights, and they're all on there. And of course, the Stoney Clark one I put as number 1.
Hey, Doug, thank you so much for joining us. Love the hat too, by the way, buddy. We'll see you on Friday morning over at the golf tournament. Again, DallasTexasXs.org. Check out all the different offerings they have this weekend, whether it's the tailgate before the game or Friday afternoon and Friday evening. A lot of stuff going on in Big D this weekend. Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, Bobby. See you Friday.
Welcome. See you soon, bud. All right.
Hey, Bobby, that cowboy hat made me think we need an OTF logo cowboy hat.
God.
Who wants that in the chat? Colt Monroe, do you want that in the chat?
Oh, hey, we spent some time talking about this yesterday, but Jerry, we're going to have on a coach here pretty soon of a young man that you went by to see this week or yesterday, actually, Ricky Stewart, the running back out of Tyler, Chapel Hill. His coach is expected to come on. Tell us a little bit about Ricky before we get going to his coach, so people can actually learn a little bit more about him prior to this interview.
Yeah, so Blake, I think we have the senior huddle for Ricky Stewart that will play. And look, Ricky is the thing that stood out to me about Ricky, and it always has, but yesterday was one of those moments for me that covers a guy in a recruiting process. You see the talent. He's faster than you think. I'll let Coach Riordan talk about what they got him at on the catapult here recently, but it was a lot. He's faster than you think here. This is Gilmer. Gilmer doesn't catch him. Gilmer won state last year. Gilmer's got some fast guys. But what he did yesterday is why he'll be successful. And I say this and people are like, well, that's life. Yeah, but this isn't life for a 17-year-old kid committed to a major university that's a 4-star prospect. He got food poisoning Sunday night, sick Sunday night, threw up all morning, throughout the night and all morning Monday, was in bed all day Monday, but he still showed up for practice for his team. Those are the things I look at in recruiting, doing this as long as I have, that you learn in this process. That guy is a teammate. He's got leadership qualities. He's a tough kid. When his team needs him most, he's there. He's not – look, we're in the NIL day and age. It can go the other way with these kids, right? They look for some kids look for a reason not to play or show up. He did the opposite yesterday. He wasn't feeling good. He was hands on knees after about every third rep he took. I was sitting there with my son, Jess, saying, is he about to throw up on the field? Is he about to throw up on the field? He went through every rep his team needed him to. And then he went in and he was done for the day. But he showed up on a day where a lot of kids wouldn't show up, period. And that, to me, is why this kid, with all you see on Huddle and the things, and I'll let Coach Riordan talk about it, why he'll ultimately be successful, Bobby. Those are the things that differentiate guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that when you can tell when kids care about football and about the sport, and when they don't. And those guys tend to mature a little faster, play a little earlier in college, etc. It'll be interesting to see exactly what he can do when he's a Longhorn. I'm interested that the fact that he has this many highlights of his senior year, and we're only 5 or 6 games in, and you're playing like 3 or 4 minutes worth of highlights here, Blake. I mean, he's running away from fast. That's indicative of what he is as a player. By the way, all right. I think Coach Riordan here is it Riordan or Riordan?
Riordan.
Riordan. Okay, Jerry, you want to do the intro?
Yeah, Tyler, Chapel Hill head coach Jeff Riordan here. We were at practice yesterday. Coach, thanks for joining us once again to kind of tell the Texas fan base about Ricky Stewart and your program. Thanks for joining us today for a few minutes.
I appreciate you having me. It was good seeing you yesterday.
Absolutely. Hey, Coach, I kind of went through yesterday and kind of how Ricky was sick, showed up for practice, that leadership component he has, that toughness he has. I talked about it as much as I can. I'd like you to kind of illustrate that for Texas fans. What makes Ricky Stewart who he is outside of what they see on a Huddle clip?
I think that just shows, Ricky's love for his teammates and his coaches and his team. Showing up yesterday, he's under the weather again today. Got the stomach bug, and he's probably going to be here again after school today. Can't come to school because he's spending his time, being sick. But he'll be here after school. He'll take care of himself. He'll hydrate. He'll have himself ready for Friday night when this sickness passes. But that just shows his character, shows who he is. Happy he's on our team. I jumped in as y'all were showing them highlights, and them highlights just truly show you how special of a football player Ricky is. But Ricky's he's just a good human as well. He's got a lot of passion. He's got a lot of, like we talked yesterday, he's just a highly intelligent kid and understands what's going on.
Coach, I got a question for you. You talk about the mental aspect, and Jerry spent some time on that this morning talking about how he was sick, like you just mentioned as well, yet still showed up for his team. What are the physical traits, though, that you think make him a running back at Texas? Because you can talk mental all you want, but his physical traits matter as well. What are those things that he brings to the table that you think are unique and why Texas recruited him?
You know, I mean, he's a physical specimen. I mean, you know, we talked about a little bit yesterday, me and Jerry, like just how fast he is.
Yeah.
He registered 21.3 miles per hour Friday night against Palestine on his touchdown run. I mean, that's blazing in full pads for a high school kid to have that kind of miles per hour in a game. But he's strong. Like, you know, we've never really found out how strong Ricky is. It's kind of a deal where whatever weight we put on the bar, he's going to squat it, he's going to bench it, he's going to power clean it. You know, he sees somebody in the weight room doing a lot of weight, he'll go over there and do it just to show him he can do it. You know, like his pass protection ability separates him from a lot of backs. A lot of backs don't like that physicality of pass pro. You know, they just want to get the ball and run or get in space and make moves and score touchdowns. But Ricky will thump you in pass pro. So I think that's going to separate him a little bit. And you never see him get caught. I mean, he breaks some tackles, and when he gets an open field, Ricky's not getting caught. He's going to be fast enough, you know, to get to the end zone. And, you know, I think his physicality and his speed, that's a lot of people don't realize how he doesn't look as fast as he really is. When you go look at the times and his 40 times and his miles per hour, it just shows how elusive he really is when he gets in the open field.
You have any good comps for him that you've seen, even in college football or high school football elsewhere, that you think, hey, he kind of, because you see him every day, right? I mean, you see the little nuances of his jump cuts or that sort of. Is there a running back that you've seen out there that he reminds you of a little bit at least?
He reminds me of Adrian Peterson.
Okay.
He may not be as big as AP was, but he runs like Adrian Peters. He's a one-cut guy, gets vertical and gets to the end zone. Nobody catches him. Like you never see one person bring him down. He's going to break tackles. He's got great hands out of the backfield. And AP was good in pass pro as well. So to me, like just over the years of watching running backs, that's who he kind of reminds me of. He's a longer strider like AP was. That's who he reminds me of, the high school version of Adrian Peterson.
That's high cotton.
Hey, Coach, you guys play a gauntlet of a schedule. Anybody in East Texas at y'all's level does, right? It kind of talk about how you lead those teams. I mean, because coming up, or you know, he's been on varsity as a key player for you since his freshman year. Talk about how he's kind of matured into that leadership role where he is now for you.
You know, Ricky's he's a quiet guy. He doesn't talk a whole lot. He leads by example. He leads by action. And this year has been the first year that he's really kind of branched out and been a vocal leader. He's just not. He doesn't have a whole lot to say. Like he just goes to work, does his job. You know, and that's just who Ricky is. But you know, the gauntlet of the schedule we played. Being 5-1 right now, if you'd have told me at this time last year when we were making this schedule that we'd be 5-1 right now, I'd be excited about it. When you play Carthage and Gilmer and Lindale and Jasper and White House, you know, that's a tough gauntlet of a schedule in East Texas, and you got to be on every week. You can't have any nights off, and you know, guys like Ricky help you stay on every week. It's nice to be able to have a guy that you can hand the ball to and not everything be perfect in the schematic scheme of us blocking it up. And him just, you know, every once in a while breaking a tackle and going house, and it gets your offense rolling. Defense builds off of that momentum, you know. But again, you know, his leadership role by his actions is what drives our offense.
All right, Coach. I look at it and I'm thinking about it. You also have Demetrius, but you have multiple D1 prospects out there. You mentioned the East Texas connection a little bit out there. And I've got to say this. I grew up in Houston, and I've been DFW. I've been over to East Texas, West Texas, all parts in between. But I will say this. The consistency of the physicality in East Texas is better than any other place in the state, in my opinion. You've probably coached elsewhere other than East Texas, but that is probably the one hallmark aspect of East Texas. Yeah, there's some speed over there, but you know what? Duncanville and DeSoto have speed too. You know, there's some good passing quarterbacks, but My point is that physicality the difference in high school football in East Texas, in your opinion, or is there something a little bit different?
I don't want to go on the record and offend anybody, but I coached in the Dallas area when I coached in Garland.
Yeah.
I was a head coach at Crosby for 7 years, head coach and AD down in Houston area. And I was also at Sulphur Springs. So I've been in East Texas for 2 stints, but I've also been in the DFW and the Houston area. And I would agree with you. There's a different level here. These country kids growing up in the sticks, there's a different work ethic. There's a different mentality. And they got a little different grit to them. They're fighters. They're tough. They're going to give you everything they have. And they're just it's a different breed out here in East Texas. And I don't want to say that to offend any other area of the state of Texas, because there's good athletes and good football all over this state, and it's the best football in America. But there is, like you said, a little bit different grit, a little bit different just physicality with a country kid out here in East Texas.
Good stuff, Coach. I appreciate you saying that, because I've always wanted to ask the right coach that question, kind of, because I've seen it going all up and down, and it carries through. You don't necessarily have 85 like you do in college. I can't say you may only have 50 on varsity or 60 or whatever, right? But it seems like 1 through 60, all of them are tough, or at least 95% of them are tough in East Texas. Whereas in the suburbs of Houston or Dallas, could be a little bit different. So I've always appreciated it.
Yes, sir.
All right, Coach. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. I know you got to get running. Good luck against Kilgore Friday, and we'll see you soon.
I appreciate y'all having me. Thank you.
Thank you,
Coach.
Appreciate your words, Coach.
Yeah, he was OC, by the way, at Sulphur Springs when Tyreek Rollison came through there and they won state.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yep. But
I remember texting or emailing with him when he was the recruiting coordinator also at Garland.
Yeah.
And I remember I knew, and I never talked to him. I don't know that I talked to him on the phone, and that's why I was wondering whether it was Riordan or Riordan. I'd always wanted that, but that's good stuff. I loved. How about the comparison to Adrian Peterson? Did you see that one coming?
Well, I think what he meant is from a physicality and running style. And I'll say this: Bobby, have you ever seen a East Texas running back that wasn't a physical player, no matter their size?
Yeah.
I mean, they're physical guys. So I think that physicality is kind of, and Ricky's got that. And seeing Ricky, he has that Trey Wisner build to him. He's going to be 6 foot or 5'11", 195, 200 pounds with a jetpack on is what he's going to be. But he is going to get strong. He's going to add that muscle mass weight pretty quickly when he gets to college. I mean, he's going to look at I took a photo yesterday of him, because it may be the last senior photo you have of him, and see how much different he's going to look by August of next year.
I can see the comparison that I would make that is very similar. Yes, he's fast. Adrian Peterson ran a 10,500 meter as a sophomore, I think. But he runs upright. Adrian Peterson, very upright runner as well. Maybe a little bit bigger. Good stuff there from Coach Riordan.
Speaking of good stuff, Jerry, you bring in the good stuff each and every morning when we start with the Goodr sunglasses. Tell us about Goodr.
I mean, how do you not tell people about Goodr? Do we have an hour, or do I just have a minute here? Okay, I'll do it in a minute. Stylish Sunny, starting only $25 a pair. No slip, no bounce, all polarized, all fun. I take these everywhere, including the Tyler Chapel Hill practice field. 1-year warranty. I got to say it. 30-day free returns. You don't need it. 3 new high-performance styles, by the way. The Bolt G, the Bug G, and the Astro G. High-performance sunglasses designed to make you feel like the best athlete of all time. And I certainly need those sunglasses for anybody that ever watched my high school basketball highlight. I need these sunglasses to make me feel like a really good athlete. All 3 frames have UV 400 polarized lenses. Overpriced sunglasses don't make you run faster, guys. Doesn't happen, but these may. I'll say that. $25. If you want to support the show and try a pair, Goodr is giving On Texas Football, all caps listeners, free shipping. You can go to Goodr.com/OnTexas and use code OnTexas for free shipping. Again, Goodr offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, just because I got to read it, and 100% satisfaction. And I just want to add on to that 1,000. Again, that's Goodr.com/OnTexas. I can guarantee you this: there will be Goodrs in the Cotton Bowl Saturday, more than just mine.
Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate it as always. And I also want to tell everybody out there about HelloFresh. And with HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. You can skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. HelloFresh delivers all the pre-portioned ingredients you'll need to make easy homemade meals, all the proteins, all the veggies, all the sauces, the spices, and a lot more. They arrive in your box along with simple instructions that walk you through each step in the cooking process. Can't mess that up. You can also choose meals that match you and your family's lifestyle, and that's what I love about it. They have something for everybody. No matter if you're a picky eater or you eat whatever, they got you covered. Of course, I also love that it saves me time because, well, this time of year, we're constantly going. And here's the best part, guys. HelloFresh is hooking y'all up with free food. All you have to do, go to HelloFresh.com/FreeOnTexas, and you can get 10 free meals. Those meals will be applied across 7 boxes. It's for new subscribers only, and it varies by plan. That's 10 free HelloFresh meals just by going to HelloFresh.com/FreeOnTexas.
Hey, I got to answer a question about the read.
What you got?
From DK Williams. Do wearing those shades help you cycle faster? That and the shot of honey, man.
A shot of honey is your new thing, huh?
I take a shot. I take a pretty big shot of honey before I go get on the bike.
Interesting. I love. Have y'all seen the Goodrs that are the UT branded ones?
Yep.
Yeah. We need it next time we do an ad for them.
Bring it up.
Try to bring that up because I think it's kind of cool.
I'm making a note right now. So I got you covered tomorrow, Jerry Hamilton. Don't you worry. All right, guys. We got some super chats we need to get to. This one from Sugar Daddy. He says, we have the nastiest O-line I've seen in 25 years. I have a lot of confidence in our boys, the way they defended Quinn against Michigan.
I've got a lot of confidence as well. Jerry Hamilton has more than me because that's just how Jerry is. But I will say it. I don't know about 25 years, and I'll say why. The 2005, 2006, 2007 era at University of Texas, that offensive line was pretty darn good, and they won a national championship. So I'm going to tell you, at least 19 years, I would agree with you 100%. It's the best offensive line Texas has had since probably 06, 07, 08. That time frame, and I can't remember which one when everybody graduated, but it is clearly, and we talked about it for months, man. It's the foundation of the team. It really is. You can look at Quinn Ewers and all the speed Texas has on the outside, or how they're playing together as a defense, and all these things that matter. But the foundation, you don't even get to that other offensive skill piece unless you have that offensive line. And I can't tell you how much that matters whenever you're going up a team like OU that specializes in getting after the quarterback. So big stuff.
I can guarantee you one former offensive lineman that's already breathing fire that's Casey Studdard headed into this week. I mean, he's already ready for this game, but that toughness he brought to that offensive line room for those years, Bobby. I think it's always going to be underestimated and not talked about enough. Along with all the talented players around them, that dude brought a level of toughness and expectation that was a little different, right?
If anybody ever embodied the term FAFO, it was Casey Studdard. I'm just here to tell you now. I saw him at a high school all-star game in San Antonio. Okay. Take a player that was on the defensive line in drills and throw him over the top of a chain link fence into a trash can. Okay. Legally do it. Because he was pissed off.
Yeah.
So Casey had a little, you know what, in his neck. Period. And he didn't care. He didn't care if it was a high school all-star game, national championship game, none. It was all about giving it everything. He was great. Love Casey.
And
yes, it does. Whitfield's barbecue, by the way.
Yep, Salty Q says he makes great barbecue too. All right, MP Houston with the super chat. He says, shout out to Barry Switzer, aka the original Connor Stallions. Hashtag Spygate.
I love it. I don't want to give a shout out to Barry Switzer though. Like he is. I will say this: the guy that asked about trying to make his son a Texas fan. You know, compare Darryl Royal to Barry Switzer. I mean, Barry Switzer was evil incarnate back in the day. That if he would have grown up at that point in time, I think you would have been able to. Your son would have been like on board immediately with Texas.
I once had some drinks with Barry Switzer at a bar in El Paso.
El Paso? What are you doing there? There were no recruits.
So remember, like 10, 15 years ago, they used to have the Texas versus the Nation games.
Oh yeah.
That? So he was the coach of one of them, and I was there. In fact, it was Rashad Bobino. Bobino was one of the players that year. But yeah, I ended up having, and Barry was there, and I think, if I remember correctly, Howard Schellenberger as well. So,
oh my gosh,
I got to say this. So this is funny because everybody has. I had a drink with Barry Switzer story. I had a drink with Barry Switzer at Hula Hut when the Cowboys had spring training or fall camp at St. Edwards. Yeah, Larry Lacewell and Barry Switzer at Hula Hut.
Could you imagine the recruiting stories if you just sat down for 30 minutes with Barry Switzer and Howard?
I got 3 or 4 in like 20 minutes, and it was awesome. I mean, the guy's a good storyteller. He can still be evil, but he's a good storyteller.
Yeah, they were both very, very cordial, I will say. It was for sure.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Brandon Morgan here with the super chat. Thank you, Brandon. He says, good morning, guys. My favorite Texas versus OU moment was the Shipley kick return. I remember watching that game as a little kid. I was so hyped when Jordan returned that kick. Hashtag OU sucks and hook 'em. That was a good one.
Brandon, he asked you your favorite Texas OU moment, Jerry, and my problem is I've got too many.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like I've got so many. When people ask me for my favorite, I just don't have one. I remember the first time though, where I was at that game and like a tingle went down my spine. I was like, "Whoa! Did I just see that?" And it was when Johnny Walker caught a touchdown pass. I was a student at University of Texas at the time, and we were in the end zone. And literally Texas had lost that. They were just not as good as OU that year, yet somehow Texas found themselves in a opportunity to win the game. And Johnny Walker caught a post route for about a 30-yard touchdown. And I was in the student section. The first time I was watching a football game as a student against OU, where literally tingles went down my spine. I was like, wow, that just happened, and euphoria erupted.
Yeah.
But even though that's still, I don't know, I can't necessarily say that's my favorite of all time. It's crazy. I mean, people don't remember a Bubba Jack's fumble return for a touchdown. Jamal Charles.
That was a great one because Jamal Charles was great because Keith Jackson's call was that made him great.
Yeah.
By the way, the game last year felt in obviously the opposite outcome.
Yeah.
It reminded me when I was at the Elite Eight basketball game in San Antonio when TJ Ford in Texas took on Michigan State. And I had pretty good seats. Magic Johnson was like 12 rows down from me, or 14 seats down from me, I should say. But that win or go home feeling, it almost felt like walking out of there like, man, is the season over? I mean, it's very rare that you can go to a regular season college football game and it feels like the end of a Elite Eight basketball season or Final Four basketball season when you lose a game. That's very, very rare. And that's kind of what it felt like last year, just that feeling. And obviously it changes. It didn't on the chat for a couple of weeks, but obviously it goes away when you start winning other games. But man, that had that feeling last year for me.
Texas had an off week after too. And I think that made it that elongated the pain, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, Juju says Worthy's mom's going viral. Get her back on the show. I'll reach out to her and see if I'll look at the Chiefs when their off week is, and we'll try to get her back on the show.
Yeah, they kept showing her during last night's game.
Yeah. She's watching.
If you missed that, Xavier scored on like a 3-yard reverse.
Yep.
On touchdown, and immediately ran to give his mom the game ball or the ball from the touchdown.
Yeah. All right. Jerry's Jack Links with the super chat. He says, who does Quinn's girlfriend cheer for at the Red River Rivalry? And what the heck does she wear? For those that don't know, she does go to Oklahoma. He says, genuinely curious if anyone knows. I don't.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's different because Colt's girlfriend, now wife, was at Baylor, right? At the time.
Yeah.
That's a little different though, isn't it? The Chiefs are off this next week. This will be a perfect time. We'll see. Yeah, that's a good question, guys. That's a tough one.
I mean, I'm sure she cheers for her boyfriend. You would think.
Well, where does she sit for the game?
Oh, she got to sit with the parents, right?
Got to, right?
We have one here from C Note. He says, hey fellas, if you had a pick of a legendary all 22 Texas team against an all 22 Oklahoma team, who wins? Huge fan of you guys, never miss a show.
Wow.
And you could do a whole show just on who that 22 would be.
I mean, that's a great question. If you put all the best players in that game, is Vince Young the difference at the end?
Man, that's a great question. I mean, I think, what do they both have? Like 15 to 20 players in the College Football Hall of Fame. I mean, it's like Hall of Fame member versus Hall of Fame member. As good as OU was at running back overall, whether it's Adrian Peterson or I guess Adrian Peterson's the best OU running back in my lifetime, better than Billy Sims, and Billy Sims was really good. But Earl Campbell still remains the best running back I've ever seen in person in my life. And that includes Walter Payton, in my opinion. So, and Eric Dickerson. So I don't know. That is a great one. I think you could probably, I will say, I think that Texas holds a distinct advantage at defensive back in that category. Only Roy Williams from OU would even be on the field. If you combine those two teams. I don't know. We'll see. I gotta tell you, I've never even thought about it that way, but look, both teams have such storied programs, guys. That is one of the reasons why this game is what it is. It's because there's a level of respect amidst the hate, right? I mean, we both know that these teams have been good and great before, and doesn't alleviate or minimize the hate. It does amp up the respect maybe a little bit.
I got to tell you, I mean, the chat's got me. I mean, just the thought of that VY and Kyler Murray going head to head at quarterback. I mean, some people would say Sam Bradford. In a game like that, I'm going with Kyler Murray, because if you put the best Oklahoma talent around him, I mean, you think about those guys going head to head. So you have Kyler Murray and Adrian Peterson. You have Vince and Ricky. I mean, that's a fun conversation. I'll say that.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd like to know what kind of offense they would run in defense.
Hey, we need to bring by the way, we need to bring this up because John Mozzie put this out last night in the chat. Sooner Scoop reported last night Deion Burks is out. Yeah, that's obviously I'm not surprised by that based on some chatter behind the scenes. But if that does come to pass, that's a big one for Oklahoma Saturday.
Very big. One other thing I wanted to ask, because I've seen it asked quite a few times in the chat, Bobby, a lot of people want to know about the On Texas Football tailgate.
Yeah, and so long story short, we don't have a traditional tailgate for Texas OU. It's just not what we have. The Dallas Texas X's will have a true tailgate. Jerry and I will be at the Yingling tent at the beer garden there, and it's also a wine garden right next to it. We'll be there from 10:30 to about 11:30 on Saturday morning. Tony Hills will be joining us for that as well. But this is not a typical tailgate area, so don't come to the Yingling tent thinking that you're going to be able to sit around and buy beer and stuff like that. They're only giving away samples there. The fairgrounds has all of that, and then they also have the Dallas Texas Exes tailgate. I wish we could spend all our time with you, but there's just not the space for that in this opportunity, because they have a stage going on behind us apparently that is going to be occupied at that time. So we can't utilize the space of 150 or so seats. So we're going to be there amidst the crowd, walking around, etc. But don't come specifically for the tailgate, but do come if you want to hang out, watch the show from about 11:30 to 12:30 over at the Yingling Flight Tent.
And also, I want to bring this up while we're talking about it, because Stephen D's comment made me think of it. Rocking orange and Texas gear all week in Oklahoma City. Stephen and everybody else out there, the OTF store now open. Shop.ontexasfootball.com. So Jerry's getting his hat ready. Boom. Right there.
Had it on the practice field yesterday. We'll have it on the practice field in Dallas today. Get yours. Remember, Blake, shut your ears. With every OTF hat sold, Colt Monroe super chat comes through.
Hey Jerry, I gotta ask you, where are you going today? A couple of the places.
I am deciding when I get in the car.
Okay, you got a little. You're not wanting to tell people. I get it.
I'm deciding. Well, no, I'm actually deciding when I get in the car. You got to make calls, make sure, like yesterday, like Ricky Stewart being under the weather, right? So I'm going to get in the car here in about 20 minutes, or when we get done here, start headed west into Dallas, and we're going to figure that out. It's not going to be North Crowley or Fort Worth area today. It's going to be Dallas, Frisco, East Side today.
Gotcha.
And while we're talking about recruiting, Jeff has a super chat that I wanted to get to. Jerry, any movement from Sark and staff towards Joaquin Stewart? Bold prediction, Gunner going to have a big game, and 28-17 Texas. So what's up with Stewart?
Yeah, I think that one would be tough. He had a 4 schools he released. Texas wasn't one of them. Texas has been in communication, but that one's going to be a little different, I think. There's thresholds.
If Gunnar Helm has a big game, you remember last year, was it last year or it's 2 years ago when he had the 4th and 1 touchdown catch that was wide open? Stutzman will call Helm daddy by game's end. Hope so. They're going to, OU, it's so interesting to me what this defense will do versus the Texas offense. Because Brent Venables will do a good job of coaching them up. Like he'll this is what he's very good at making sure his players recognize common plays of its opponents. I'm interested to see what Sark comes out with, and if whether or not he can kind of flummox the OU defense a little bit. Last year he did not early on. Quinn was intercepted on the first play. So let's see right out of the gate what happens this year.
And then our next one, fellas, comes from Jerry's Jack Link. Thank you as always. He says, let's coin the nickname Ricky Bobby Stewart because he wants to go fast.
I'm good with that. Hey, by the way, so I think we kind of zip past that. So he hit 21.3 on the catapult, whatever they use, Friday night against Palestine. That's before a college strength and conditioning program. And I was talking with it about Coach. He doesn't look that fast because he doesn't have he doesn't look like the traditional fast runner necessarily, where his heels are bouncing off his butt. He doesn't look like that. But if you think about who he's playing, these teams right here, they're fast guys on these teams in East Texas. And he just 21.3. If that's your top end speed before you get with Torrey Becton, he's going to be really fast at the next level. And that's going to be a different level of speed you can present there, which also means if he cared about track and really trained for track, he'd probably run 10.6 is what that tells me. By the way, he is enrolling at Texas in January. He is graduating in December. That one's locked up now.
And then while we're talking about recruiting, Isaiah Stewart wants to know, are there any potential surprise offers or updates following a win this weekend?
Texas offered a 2026 wide receiver at Bowles, Jacksonville Bowles. We had said last week Chris Jackson was going to be in Jacksonville and he was going to go to Bowles. There was one kid Texas was recruiting there, Simeon Caldwell, who's a safety linebacker in 26. His dad, Mike Caldwell, coaches in the NFL. They offered Naeem Burrows yesterday, a 2026 wideout that ran 10.6, 10.7 last spring as a sophomore and fits the Sark profile at wide receiver recruiting. I'll say that. He's got offers from about everybody. He's been on campus at Clemson, a few other places this year, FSU. I'm sure that was impressive. Texas is working to get him to a game this year, if not get him to campus in January. So that was one of the offers that went out. I can also say I talked to Amari Latimer, the 2026 running back from Sandy Creek in Tyrone, Georgia, there around the Atlanta area. He is just our choice went by Friday. He is one of the best backs in the country in that class, more that bigger pack. That I think Texas is kind of looking to mix with those guys like Ricky Stewart, the kid that'll be 6 foot, 215, 220. He's also planning to come to the Texas-Georgia game. He's been on campus before, and Texas offered him last January. So any offers in 2025? No. 2026 focus, there was some of that on the road last week as well. Now, if Texas, I think your question, if Texas happens to win Saturday and then happens to beat Georgia, I mean, Texas is on an explosive path in recruiting at that point. I mean, if you have wins over Alabama, Michigan, and Georgia in a 2-year period, I mean, how many people can actually say that? I think Texas will probably be the only one. So that they're on the right track. They just got to keep winning games. Somebody that's really good at this said Friday, just got to keep winning.
All right, Joel. You're muted, Bobby.
My apologies, guys. Oftentimes I read through the chat just to see if anybody says anything funny or has a good question. Jerry, you mentioned earlier that another Georgia player had been arrested. W.A. Jones with the quote of the day. The world calls it posting bail. Georgia calls it Tuesday practice.
By the way, we have
I don't want to laugh at anyone's misfortune. Right. But that's funny, W.A. That's funny.
Hey, that's hilarious. And by the way, we'll talk more about that next week, but that's a significant loss for Georgia.
If he's actually lost.
I mean,
is he going to play? I mean, Kirby, what's Kirby's thought on
I don't think he could play him after what he was arrested for.
What was he arrested for?
He was arrested and charged with assault on an unborn child.
That's terrible.
Like that's another significant loss for them. And you wonder, and we've talked about it, I've talked about it, are these off the field issues starting to catch up with them on some level? It's got to at some point.
Man, that sucks. Hey, let's tackle this one, if y'all don't mind, because I think it came up with Steve Sarkisian yesterday a little bit. From Odenhorn, please talk about your expectations for the Texas RB room in Dallas. My expectations are to be elusive and fast and not turn the ball over, as well as good in pass protection. They do that, that's fine with me. I'm not asking them to gain 5 yards every carry. But if you can prove to be who you are in the passing game and in the run game, like threaten them with big plays from the running back position, while also being good in pass protection and protecting the ball when you have it, that's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking for them to carry it, one guy to carry it 25 for 125, like Jaden Blue, right? I'm asking for solid football play that they're completely capable of.
Yeah.
That's all I want. I want Trey Wisner to chip on R. Mason Thomas at times effectively, not just do an Olay block, right? I'm asking for Jaden Blue to pick up inside stunt from a linebacker. So Quinn Ewers gets a little extra time. You know, those are the things that those are my expectations, Odin. And it's a good question.
Hey, ball protection's huge because
Absolutely.
here's the one thing that the Texas running backs are going to face Saturday that they may not have faced in numbers against another opponent. This is the biggest group of linebackers Texas has played, which means there's more force when they contact you when you're carrying a football. So for me, that's number one. You got to be ready for that force. I mean, Stutzman, that's 240 coming at you. The other backers are all 230 plus. They're in that range. I mean, there's some heavy hits coming without being just a total heavy hitter. It's just a natural thing when you weigh that much and have that much power on contact. The other thing is catching the ball out of the backfield, because I think there's going to be plays to be made for the Texas running backs in the passing game, because I think they have a real speed advantage there. They got no drop passes from the running backs this week.
Hey, VY, Henry James had this to say. VY made those other O-lines look better than they were. We were talking earlier about that. That is true to a degree, but 4 of those 5 offensive linemen, Henry James, got second contracts in the NFL. So they were pretty darn good with Vince and even beyond him, a couple of those guys. So I hear you. You're not wrong. He absolutely made everybody look better than they were, probably, including the O-line. But they were good in and of themselves, I think.
We got a few more super chats to knock out. This one from Jeff Carey. Jerry, Bobby, are you huggers? If so, I'm probably coming to the tailgate to give y'all a hug. Enjoy.
Unfortunately, my son tells me that I am a hugger, and he's a freshman in college. He doesn't like that anymore. Hey, Marco Mendez, story from my band days. Our band director, Dr. Karnokin, rest in peace, wanted us to be classy and not say OU still sucks. So we came up with OU still sucks instead. We still make memes about it today.
That's hilarious.
Dr. Karnokian may be rolling over in his grave, because that's not going to change the will of the people. He's unable to do that this many years later.
Hey, Blake, you were going to ask if I'm a hugger. I think I do hug my 12-count Chick-fil-A every day. That's just to keep it away from any grubby paws around me.
Before you take a shot of honey and go cycling.
Yes. I'm going to be hugging a 12-count nugget after this show's over on the way to Dallas.
You eat that with mayonnaise too?
No.
But
but we are doing that Saturday. Bobby is too.
No, we aren't. You may be.
Oh man. All right, Coach 420, thank you for the super chat. He says, my birthday is on Sunday, fellas. All I ask for is a win against Oklahoma. Thank you all for the Texas info every day. Well, thank you for tuning in every day, Coach 420. We appreciate it. And then Nate Russ with one of his favorite OU memories. He says, Jay Witt flag plant midfield after 49-0. I actually posted the highlights of that game on my Twitter before we started. So if you want to go relive that moment, it's on there.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, there's been a lot of just, I don't know. I mean, the one that I recall now that is just vivid is Kyler Murray being a poor sport after Sam Ehlinger went to just say good game. You know what I mean? And I think that that's the after game memory I have. The other after game memory I have is of Sam Ehlinger being the only guy there singing the eyes. So that's kind of, there's been positives and negatives in that category for me.
And here's a good question, in my opinion. Where did it
about the Rangers?
No, not about the Rangers. King Me says, who runs scout team as Hawkins this week?
Wow. That's a great question, because they don't have that kind of guy.
Ryan Niblett. He played high school quarterback.
Yeah, but Sark Sark's getting him ready for that game.
Yeah.
As a player. I don't know that they have one that can play that. It's a great question.
It is. Before we move on, Bobby, can you tell everybody out there about the good folks at Duck Camp?
I can, absolutely. Duck Camp is a good sponsor of ours. We appreciate them. They've got something special coming up for the Georgia game, where we're going to have a double-sized tailgate, and Duck Camp is going to be there to help us out with it. Duck camp gear is made for the people that live for the moments out there where there are fish to catch, birds to hunt, time to kill, football to watch. They like doing all that stuff. So they built a company centered on it, based in Austin and dedicated to giving people best-in-class hunting and fishing apparel. Duck camp gear has been tested from the backcountry of Alaska to the dove fields of Texas. Also, it's ready to keep you cool and comfortable on scorcher game days or warm in those nights in the deer blind or mornings in the deer blind. It will stand up to the toughest conditions, but also happily sit down beside a fire and drink a few cold ones if that's more your speed. Shop hunting gear at duckcamp.com. Be sure to check out the new mallard hat and pointer hat in the clay colorway. It's pretty much our cherished burnt orange color. Here's the great seasons, y'all. Yes, hunting and football. This is that clay colored, heathered clay colored that they have that looks really a lot like burnt orange. Love it. The dog pointer hat is outstanding. I need to show y'all that one next time.
Thank you, Bobby. And we got time for just a couple more questions here. So let's get to those. And our first one comes from Brian Jones. He says, if we get up on Oklahoma by 10-17 in the first half, do you think Oklahoma may go into panic mode and start making more mistakes?
I think it's a great question, and I do think getting up 2 scores would be big in this game because you have a freshman quarterback who would then have to potentially force a football again with their receiver core that's injured and an offensive line that struggled. I think there's some truth to that. I think it just puts that much more pressure on the Oklahoma offense. I do think outside of turnovers, Texas offensive line play being the level of Michigan, I think a quick start is probably, if I had 3 keys in this game, those would probably be my keys. I think if Texas gets up in this game, that's not where Oklahoma wants to be offensively.
I would just say this. One of the reasons Michael Hawkins is the quarterback at Oklahoma right now is because he showed more poise than Jackson Arnold. He didn't throw interceptions. He hasn't turned the ball over. And that poise will be tested if they're down by 3 scores in the Cotton Bowl. Down by 2 scores, he's come back from. He did it last week or 2 weeks ago at Auburn. Down 3, you can start pressing a lot, especially if you're young quarterback. We'll see what his poise level actually is. I think he could be one of those special guys that has some ice water in his veins. At the same time, it doesn't make him a better quarterback, or it doesn't mean that he's going to lead them to victory against the Longhorns.
UT boy, good to see you back, man. Missed you the last few days.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Ralph Neely also back in the chat as well, guys.
Yep.
Good to hear from him.
And then this will be our last one for today, y'all. Osmosis Jones says, what would you say is one area of weakness for OU's defense that Texas can exploit?
I think Oklahoma has secondary injury issues. Cornerback, the speed at corner. That's why the offensive line is so key, because if the offensive line gives Quinn time and Sark's plays time to develop, Texas speed will take over against Oklahoma's. They have good players in their secondary, but that Gentry Williams is a big loss for them, in my opinion.
I would say this. If Texas can pass protect, I completely agree with Jerry. OU has not had to cover for any amount of time all season. They just haven't.
Yeah.
So if they have to, what do they look like then? They're really good at being responsible for what they're typically responsible for. They are extremely well coached on that side of the ball in that regard. If the pass rush for them does not get home, how do their DBs hold up?
And
they will give up a big play in the passing game. They will. I mean, Auburn threw for 332. Tennessee hit them with a big play, even though they didn't have to throw it much in that game. The pass rush, to Bobby's point, if the pass rush doesn't get home, Texas is going to have guys with plays to be made in good spots.
And I lied. We had a super chat come in, so this will be the last one. Sugar Daddy says, hey, y'all have any thoughts on Kalen DeBoer's presser regarding Malachi Moore? Crazy to think he ignored his coordinator trying to sub him out. And also, Osas the Destroyer said, talking about Georgia, there's culture problems in Athens.
I didn't see the Kalen DeBoer press conference. I was on the road yesterday, so I can't really comment on that. The second one, at some point, it catches up with you. It always does.
Anything from you, Bobby?
I thought that what Malachi Moore did went beyond the pale. And so I disagree with it. At the same time, what's Kalen DeBoer going to say? I'm letting the inmates run the asylum? Because that's what he really did. That was a bad look for Alabama football. You think Nick Saban would let him stay on that field? Nick Saban would have went out through the field, grabbed him by the jersey, and escorted him to the sideline himself. That's what I think. So I like Kalen DeBoer as a football coach. And don't get me wrong, that was not his finest moment. And that goes beyond what Malachi Moore did. It's just how Kalen DeBoer reacted to it. I don't think you make excuses for that kind of behavior. Similarly, in Athens, you can't make excuses for that type of behavior. Maybe some things going on there that I just don't think you want to see.
And we will end on this one from UT Boy. Great to have you back, UT Boy. As Jerry said, he says, hook 'em family members. You all know what time it is. It's 9:26. And you suck.
You still suck.
It's bass fishing time, too. It's bass fishing time.
That's right.
Hey, by the way, Blake, bring up the SEC schedule. We didn't get to it, but we got to get out of here. Texas, Georgia is a night game. We'll be talking about that more. Obviously, ABC, 6:30 Central. That game just got obviously Texas has to handle business. Georgia should handle business. Mississippi State, assuming they have enough players. But that game just got even bigger.
Definitely.
Texas needs to handle business in Dallas Saturday, obviously. And that is going to be a top 5 matchup because Ohio State and Oregon play. Somebody's going to lose. Somebody's going to drop.
Good stuff. All right. Well, we want to give a special thanks to my bookie, along with Goodr, HelloFresh, and Duck Camp, all for sponsoring today's show. Thank you all for tuning in. The great questions, the super chats. Bobby, what do you have later today right here on Texas Football?
Right now we've got I'm going to speak to Bob Shipley and Brian Irwin a little bit later today for lunch with the coach. Excited about that. Jerry's got recruiting breakdown, and then we've got the live stream tonight. We also have a number of different updates coming up on the website on TexasFootball.com. If you're not a part of the community, please feel free to join us over there. We have a special for $39.95. Use the promo code OTFOG for an annual subscription. It's the cheapest subscription out there, yet still allows you to be part of our community, etc. I hope you guys come join us and talk a little football when we're not on the live streams here and doing coffee and football and whatnot.
That's right. And be sure to hit that like and subscribe button as well. Ring the bell so you're notified anytime we go live or post content. And between that and on TexasFootball.com, you will be covered with around-the-clock Longhorn news. We will be back same time, same place tomorrow. Don't forget, tomorrow we'll have Tony Hills on. It's Hump Day with Hills. Always a great time, so tune in for that. And
hey, Tony, I know you're watching. You got to challenge Doug Rice's energy. Challenge that energy tomorrow. I know you can.
Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you then.
Hug 'em.